What is happening, everyone? Welcome back to the show. I'm Timmy Foodie. We've got some awesome San Marzano sausages and gnocchi for you today. Super simple dish, super tasty. First of all, get your pan on a medium heat. Get your sausages of choice. These are just simple pork sausages, but pork and fennel would be amazing as well. Choice is up to you, really. If you're vegetarian, then use your favourite kind of vegetarian sausage equivalent, and this will work great for veggies out there. So the key is San Marzano tomatoes, which I just showed you there. Super awesome, so tasty. We've also got an onion, some garlic, some mushrooms, some zucchini. But again, vegetables up to you, whatever mix you want to do. But this particular mix just works really well together. So what we're going to do, as you can see there, just slice the sausages into little kind of bite-sized chunks. Repeat that through the number of sausages you've got. 2 sausages per person, roughly work to that kind of amount is about right. Get your oil in the pan. Again, it's a kind of medium to medium high heat. You don't want it too hot, but you want it hot enough to start kind of getting a bit of caramelization on those sausages. So once you've got the sausages in the pan, give them a little jostle around just to get that oil coated on all sides. As you can see, I'm doing there. So give that a good mix around and then spread them all out nice and evenly, and then we're going to sort of leave them to sit on that heat to get a bit of colour on each side. So once you've got it to this stage, as you can see there, we'll just leave that, and then in the meantime you can kind of prep the other veggies, a little bit of pepper if you want. I love black pepper, so I always kind of added it in at each stage really. So so as I said, while that's doing that first stage, you can start prepping some of the other veg. So get your onion out, halve that, peel it, and then by that point you're probably about right to check the sausages. And as you can see there, you're getting a nice bit of colour on the sausages. If at this point it's going too quickly and it looks like they're burning, turn the heat down a little bit. You can kind of go down to kind of a medium heat at this stage now, because that's just going to sit there and do its thing. And then while it's doing that, again, browning off on the next side of those sausages, we'll just prep the onions. So I've sliced it in half, halved again, and then just cut across ways so you've got nice little strips. But how you chop them is up to you. Don't stress too much if you're not quite sure which way you're supposed to chop it. It doesn't really matter. So you want decent sized pieces because they're going to soften down and be really nice and kind of sweet and caramelized eventually. So you don't want a really fine dice. So then once those sausages have had a few minutes, pop the onions in, bit of salt, bit of pepper, a little drizzle of olive oil if you want to. Give that a nice stir around. And then what you should be seeing at this stage is the bottom of the pan starting to get this really nice kind of crunchy coating on the bottom of it, which is kind of all the flavour from the sausages kind of cooking down into the pan. This is okay, so don't worry too much. We're going to release all that. That kind of releases once we start adding the liquid in. So as you can see there, it's like a nice sort of dark golden brown. That's fine. It's not burnt. Don't worry. If it's black, obviously it's burnt, so you've got it too hot. But anyway, what are you going to do? So as you can see there, I just diced up some garlic. That's probably like, I can't remember, 2 cloves of garlic, something like that. Chuck that in. Slice the zucchini however you want, really. I'm just slicing lengthways and then lengthways again, and then cutting across into like a kind of a chunky dice, I'd suppose you'd call it. You don't want them too small because they will just kind of disintegrate, which you don't really want, but decent size. Give that a stir around. Again, you can do a little bit more seasoning at this point, a little pinch of salt, bit of pepper. And then while that's cooking down, again, we're on a kind of medium heat here, so it's not too frantic, the heat, it's not too hot. So you've got time to be kind of prepping the veg as you're going. As you can see with the mushrooms, I'm just kind of halving again and then cutting across. Again, the size and shape doesn't really matter too much with the mushrooms because it's all going to kind of reduce down and shrink down anyway. So keep that moving around, as you can see I'm doing there. Nice little stir, and as you can see, everything starts to sweat down and the onions are going caramelized, the zucchinis are softening and going a bit sweet, and then I've got a little pinch of oregano there. That's super nice with this recipe. Keep it moving around, jostling around. After about 4 or 5 minutes, we're going to chuck in a nice little balsamic vinegar. That's quite a good quality one, but whatever you can afford is great. Again, get that all nicely coated, and then just a little pinch of sugar. That's a nice kind of unrefined kind of caster sugar, but whatever you've got is fine, really. Give it a stir around. At this point, you don't want to give it too long, maybe a minute once you've got that sugar in, and then we're going to put in our tomatoes. That's 2 tins of the San Marzano tomatoes. What you could do before that stage is put in a little glass of white wine, let it reduce, and then put the tomatoes in, but I didn't have any white wine, so I didn't bother with that. So break apart the tomatoes, as you can see there, give it a stir around, get everything nice nicely coated through, and just let that really gently simmer away. Once it comes to a little bubble, turn it right down, just let it do its thing. It just bubbles away, and then it ends up looking like that. That's about 10 or 15 minutes. Once we're at that stage, we'll get our gnocchi on. So this is a really beautiful fresh gnocchi that I can buy just down the road. It's so tasty. You don't need to pre-cook it in water. You can go straight into the pan with it. So I've just got some butter in the pan, and again, like the sausages, we're going to let it get a bit of color on each side before so you're not constantly moving it about. You're just letting it do its thing and then turning it once it starts to get a bit of color. As you can see here, it will progress, and once it gets colour on one side, turn it round. It's a bit fiddly because you've got to do each one, but eventually it looks like this. Everything's really beautifully coated. Each side's got a nice crunch to it. The inside's super fluffy and awesome. Once it gets to that stage, a little knob more butter, because why the fuck not, it's awesome. Little squeeze of lemon, and then a good handful of parsley, a good grate of freshly grated black pepper. You could even toss in a little bit of Parmesan at this point as well and just give it a toss. And that's kind of it. It's just absolutely awesome. And you could just eat that like that and it's just beautiful. But the sauce just adds a whole other dimension to it. So once you're at that stage and we're nicely tossed around, we can serve up. So that sauce is perfect as it is. The gnocchi is perfectly cooked, nice and puffy in the middle. Got a real nice spring to it as well. And then just the outside's got that really beautiful crunch to it. The parsley and the lemon and the butter, it all just combines so nicely together. And there's our super beautiful, rich, kind of simple tomato sauce. Like, you know, it's not that complicated. The good tomatoes are the key. The San Marzano tomatoes really are the key here. So as long as you've done that, you can't really mess this up really. So we're just going to serve it on top of the gnocchi like that, as you can see. And then what we're going to do, I'm going to get some fresh ricotta, which you can just buy in most supermarkets, and we're going to just sprinkle that on top of this sauce here, as you can see just coming up now. So I've just got a spoonful or forkful and just breaking that across into little chunks on top and just spread that around the whole plate, and that will just start to kind of ooze and melt through the sauce. And the creaminess of the ricotta actually helps mix with the sauce, and it takes the richness out of the sauce just a little bit, which is just really perfect. Finish with a little sprinkle of extra Parmesan if you want, a little sprinkle of parsley. You could do a little final drizzle of olive oil, but that is it. It is absolutely amazing dish, super simple to make, and it'll wow anyone you cook it for. It's so good. There's some more videos here. Please check them out. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back with another video really soon. Cheers, everyone. Bye.